What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Final Whistle Sports Podcast. Yes, we broke our streak. We promised you weekly episodes, and we failed last week. We decided to enjoy uh, our lovely weeks and try to take a step back. And we were like, it's okay. We'll see. We'll figure it out and we'll get back into it. No big deal because we had Mother's Day, and then work caught up with me. Then you had some other stuff that you had going on. So,
Course.
and then Memorial Day weekend, we were like, that ain't gonna happen. And so it's starting off the month of June with an episode. So how about that? Right around the corner, right on time. NBA Finals starts tonight, and then we've got a little bit of Stanley Cup start Saturday. But we're gonna start with the game that we've been playing a lot recently, and that is in the golfing world. I finally have gotten back onto the course, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I'm not as good as Joe. We all know this, but remarkably had a decent day at the office yesterday. So that's a win for me. But let's talk PGA, Joe. Brooks Koepka has created the story that we wanted in April at Augusta. A live golfer takes home the second major of the year, beating Victor Hovland and Scotty Scheffler by 2 strokes. And now there's a little bit of a argument here now that's we've been thinking about once live got started these last 2 years, that once there was a major won, what's gonna happen now? Joe, what overall impression of the tournament? How do you think it went? And then what are we going to do now with this live PGA Tour dynamic?
Biggest storyline of them all wasn't even Brooks winning it.
I
That's the funniest
know. I
part.
was going to allow you to. I knew you would want to hop in on that, so I was going to let you talk about Blocky himself.
Michael Block, what a day for the young man, you know? I mean, even par through three. Then you get to the fourth round, the media is all over him, right? He's loving shit, huh? Then you get to the par three, you're playing with Rory McIlroy. I mean, you played with Justin Rose the day before, great competitors in golf. And you go out and dunk a ball in for a hole in one.
Insane.
Unbelievable, man. Michael Block, man. I mean, kudos to him. I mean, it was funny. I saw a video and it was after Brooks won. And it was the shooter McGavin holding the checkup, and they were asking him about Happy, and he goes, "Who cares? Who won the tournament?" And that's how I envisioned Brooke was going to be. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, it was a great story, dude. I absolutely loved it. I mean, now we got through this past week. Unfortunately, he came in dead last
Dead last.
at the shore. Yeah, it wasn't a good look there, but I mean, good. It was a great story for him. He was able to make the PGA Championship for next year. So yeah, it was a great story to watch all week. But to the real story here, Brooks Koepka winning -9, played incredible golf, especially from Friday to Sunday, shot in the 60s, all them 2 to 3 days, or them 3 days, excuse me. He looked just dominant force. He looked like he was playing like he was at the Masters earlier this year. I mean, he came in hot. He was ready to go. And, Scotty was creeping up a little bit. You kind of thought maybe Scotty might take the reign, but, that Saturday round kind of killed him shooting, 1 over par. Just didn't keep him with him. But kudos to them because that course looked like a beast. It looked like a beast. The rough was thick. It was, what was it? It was Friday or Saturday. It was pouring all day. So if you got caught in that, it was brutal just to get through. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Brooks Koepka is a beast right now. He's killing it, and you got to look ahead, right? You got to look at the US Open and be like, this guy has a chance here to win it again as well. So we'll see how it turns out. But Brooks played incredible. It was great stuff. And the controversy that we wanted, like you said, live versus PGA. Now, what's going to happen? What's going to go on? We were kind of like, ooh, what if a live guy wins? How would it be? Well, now you got a live guy that won, huh? So now what are you going to do? And truthfully, if you look at the leaderboard, like there's a good chunk of what's his name guys up there.
DeChambeau fourth.
Yeah, DeChambeau, Cameron Smith that tied 9. A couple guys up there that you're like, okay, they're live guys, So you throw a little shot in there, but Brooks, he still might be drunk still. I mean, who knows with his case because he went on a rampage after he left.
Oh, it was nuts.
Oh yeah, but good for Brooks. I gotta shoot a question back to you.
Oh
And
boy.
we were kind of talking about it, but we didn't talk about it too much. And we were talking about it before. Brooks or Rory now? Who has the better career?
Oh shit. We were texting back and forth on this. I was just like, fuck. I I mean, if you're talking about, damn, it's like you could go either way depending on how you want to answer the question, right? But for me, golf lives and breathes kind of by what you do on the course. And I know Rory's got more career wins. I think it's right, more career wins Rory
Oh
does
yeah.
by significantly.
Yes.
But man, I think I gotta take Brooks because
Yeah.
I value the major championship so much more than a regular golf tournament.
So you think winning this major put him over the top of Rory McIlroy?
I think so.
Okay.
Especially, but I think a lot of people also are at the point where we haven't seen Rory really put himself in a true position to win one since 2014 when when he won the Open and PGA back to back. So there hasn't been that opportunity. I mean, he shot that incredible round in 22 at Augusta, right, for him to finish second, but he was never truly in contention. And then even in the PGA, he made a couple quick birdies, and then as soon as then he couldn't figure out how to putt the rest of the day. And I
Yep.
mean, you would think playing with Michael Block would have actually freed him up to actually go crazy low because it was such a loose environment. And he honestly wasn't the face on the golf course in his group, which is
Mm-hmm.
pretty much never going to happen.
Yep. Yep.
So I think for me, I value what I'm seeing right now. And it's not like Brooks before Live. If you exclude 22, right, because of the injury, like the man is there every time. He had 4 wins and 4 runner-ups since what his when he won his first and what was it 2018 or 2019, I believe.
Yeah, it's when he went on the run. Yeah.
So like you gotta value that, man. You gotta put him right there as arguably, and when it comes to a major championship, he's got to be a top 5 favorite week in, week out, without question. So I'm taking Koepka. What are you going to do?
I agree. I was fighting Koepka and Rory even before he won this major because they were both tied at 4 at the time. And of course, Rory has more wins, right? So that was kind of the big kicker. Well, now there's not that argument, right? Because Brooks now has a major over Rory does. And truthfully, Brooks has been more relevant over the last 4 to 5 years. Rory really hasn't been relevant at all since like 2014. We talked about this last time we were on the podcast. Like, who was the guy that kind of needed to win, right? And we both were
Yeah.
sitting here and we were agreeing, oh, it's Rory, because Rory hasn't really done anything since 2014 or 2015. And yes, he's in majors here and there, but he's never in like winning it, gonna look like he's gonna win it, maybe collapses. Like, I haven't seen that Rory yet, right?
Yeah.
Here, you got Brooks collapse at the Augustas, but he still finished second or third at the time.
Yeah.
Now he wins here. I mean, he's playing good ball in majors, plain and simple. And I would choose Brooks as well. I think Brooks has had a better career, and I take majors over anything, any day of the week. I mean, he's killing the game right now. Good for him. And there's no stopping him. His game looks excellent right now. He's driving the ball immaculate. His putter's dialed in. He's playing really, really good golf right now. And, only looking up for him, right? Like, definitely has a chance at the U.S. Open. I mean, the Open's always kind of tough. It's kind of weird. So he might be a little more tougher for him there. But, you got to put him right in discussion each and every week now, or each and every time they go to majors with Scotty and Jon Rahm now, huh?
Oh, without question. It's got to be he has to, it's probably 1A, 1B, 1C when it comes to those three guys. And you can make the argument that, man, if Scotty didn't have a bad day Saturday, that was going to be a duel to watch Sunday between him and between Scotty and Brooks. I mean, Scotty made a push, but like he never really got to a point where Brooks was truly threatened. And Hovland, he hung in there, but he never really got it within a striking distance where you ever thought that Brooks was going to relinquish the lead on Sunday.
I don't know. I disagree with that because Hovland did make a push, especially like on the turn. Like it was damn near close to tied. And then all of a sudden, I think Hovland on 16 or 17 bogeyed or double bogeyed and kept apart or birdied. I don't know which one. And it was a 2-shot swing. And that's
Yeah.
what essentially sealed it off. But, we were talking here last time, right? And I also said, like,
Hovland was your guy.
yeah,
Hovland
it
was
was
your
like my
guy.
my guy was like it was Hovland. Like Hovland needed to do something in a major. I haven't seen really anything yet. Well, hey, he kind of shut me up a little bit because he really proved something here. So I don't know if it is the best finish that he has, but it's probably damn near close for a second place, Um, so good for him to kind of shut me up a little bit because I needed to see something from him, right? And he
Right.
played well, all 4 days, truthfully. He played well under par every day, 2 under or better in all 4 rounds. So I mean, he played really solid golf, and truthfully enough, he played good in the final pairing with Koepka on Sunday. Just got a unfortunate event on 16, I think it was, and just kind of shot his load a little too early. That's all.
I agree. I think the only thing from like my perspective is that he never did he ever tie for the lead that round? I don't remember if Brooks ever and Victor ever tied. So like that was the thing for me. Like even with Brooks having a one-shot lead, it felt so much more than that because you knew Brooks, especially after Augusta, like Victor was gonna have to go out and like take it. There was no way Brooks was gonna give that up. And you could see it Sunday with how aggressive Brooks played, especially in those opening 4 or 5 holes. He said, I am not, like there was that whole interview, right? He said, I'm not gonna play how I did on Sunday at Augusta. I'm not gonna tell you what I did, but we can all kind of infer that he played not to lose and kind of played hesitant golf at Augusta, and John Rahm went absolutely on a tear to
Mhm.
overtake him, right? And you could see that that was not going to be the mentality. He was going to still be locked in, focused. And it's crazy to think about how you relinquish one so badly in the previous major, but you completely lock in when you're in the exact same position a month later.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said it best. Yeah, you lock in, just a month later. Now, why can't he maybe even do that again? Come at the U.S. Open. I mean, he's won the U.S. Open before too, so I don't see an issue there. And truthfully enough, I think the PGA Championships prepared him enough for the U.S. Open because the conditions were almost is going to be identical to what is going to be in Los Angeles come when the U.S. Open rolls around. I don't really see a chance, or I don't see really a world where he isn't maybe the favorite, going into the US Open.
Oh, 100% agree. And I think you nailed it on the head. That PGA Championship had a US Open setup. And if we look at that leaderboard again, like you could see it, the cream of the crop rose to the top of that leaderboard. And I think you're going to see that again at the US Open. Those guys that were successful at the PGA are going to probably be the same. Probably 50% of those names are going to be the same at the top of the leaderboard at the US Open in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah. I mean, you got guys coming up. I mean, it was a tough course, man. Plain and simple. If you watched it, I mean, let alone from the rain on that Thursday and Friday, or that Friday and Saturday, excuse me, that was holding it off. But it was it was just set up like a US Open course, thick rough, long rough, fast greens, and the course was long. I mean, he was playing long. I actually loved one of the holes. It was a like partial drivable par 4, and some of them guys laid up in the beginning, round 1 and round 2 to play it safe. Come round 4 though, they were all shooting for it. Bang,
Yeah,
bang.
yeah, 14 I think it was.
I think it was, yeah, 320 yards, bang, bang, and a lot of them hit it too. I think, Brooks and Hovland in that last group were the ones that hit it. But yeah, it was good stuff. Great. It was a great, truthfully, it was a great PGA championship. I was locked in all Sunday for sure. Tuning in and yeah, just glad to see Brooks won, man. Truthfully, I was happy to see him win. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I'm one that I do like Brooks. I think he's a very, very good competitor and good for the game of golf.
Does he get onto the Ryder Cup team now? Does this pretty much put him on? He's had two events that technically count. He's gone
Yeah.
second first, and he's now second in the voting because remember, for the Ryder Cup, it's not through the PGA Tour, it's through the PGA of America. So it's like a little bit of a loophole when it comes to that type of stuff because Rory came out, I think, was it yesterday, I believe, and he said Brooks should be on the team. No doubt about it. He's arguably the best golfer right now for in just the sport, not just the US team. But then Rory had a harsh take on the European side of things, saying there should no way in heck a European guy from Live should be on one of the squads.
Mm. To answer your first question, yes, he should absolutely be there. I mean, he has in the biggest games of them all in PGA and in the golf world, right? He has a second place finish and a first place finish. You can't really get much better than that, truthfully. And how can you not leave him off the Ryder Cup team? I mean, when push comes to shove, the lights are on, Brooks Koepka pulls through most times than not. And the Ryder Cup's one of the biggest stages, in the golf world, right? Honestly, it's probably maybe even second or third behind the Masters, right? So it's right there with the shining of the lights, and I think Brooks should be there. Brooks, no questions about it, should be there. But I don't even know why we're talking about the Ryder Cup and him being in it or not. The only reason we're having this conversation right now is because he would live. It's inexcusable, truthfully, in my opinion. We shouldn't even be having that discussion, right? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter whether you're in the PGA or the Live in that case scenario. You're representing your country, and what you want to have is the best golfers out there for your country at that point. We shouldn't be having a discussion because this guy plays for Live versus this guy plays for the PGA versus this guy plays for this tour and that tour. It doesn't matter. If he's a competitor and he's winning matches and he's winning majors or he's winning tournaments, he should be on the Ryder Cup team, plain and simple.
I wholeheartly agree. I
You gotta
got
stop agreeing with me. I don't like this shit.
I mean, what am I supposed to do? I mean, at this point, like what you nailed it on the head. I don't even need to say anymore, honestly.
Now on the flip side with Roy, I didn't hear his statement 100%, and you might be able to say it a little bit more
Sure.
detailed reason. So essentially, he's saying if you're on the European tour or you're in Live, you shouldn't be on the European Ryder Cup team.
So the European golfers on Live should not be on the team, but Brooks should be on the US team.
See, I disagree with that because it's the same instance as I'm saying for Brooke, right? If you're winning tournaments and you're winning majors or you're doing well in majors or you're doing well in, anything else outside and you're from Europe and you have a shot, like you should be on the team. Live shouldn't be holding you back there in that case.
Yeah, so here's the quote.
Okay.
I certainly think Brooks deserved to be on the United States team, but I have different feelings about the European team and the other side and sort of how that all transpired. And yeah, I don't think any of those guys should be part of the European team. End quote.
Yeah, like I disagree with that because then you're kind of contradicting yourself, right? Like Brooks, you're saying, yeah, Brooks is great, so he should be on the American side. But like, what if such and such from England was good on, your side? Like Poulter, right? What if Poulter comes out and shoots amazing at the US Open and the Open? I don't know if he's actually in the US Open, but I know for sure he's probably gonna be in the Open. And what if he
Right.
goes down and shoots well in those two matches? And what are you gonna say? He's not gonna allowed to be on? Like that wouldn't make any sense. That would be my counter argument towards that then.
Oh, I think it's extremely hypocritical, but I think his argument is warranted based off of results from European players in the live tournaments. That would be my only guess from a devil's advocate perspective is that he's going based off of results, not just saying that it's a live thing. But then the quote also kind of says though how it all transpired. So it's kind of like a gray area of interpretation.
Okay. Okay. So we're not getting the full story then a little bit.
Oh,
We
I
get
think he gave us just a taste of what he thinks, but didn't like go totally in depth with it, if you know what I mean.
Gotcha. Gotcha. No, it makes sense. I mean, but like you said, he's kind of contradicting himself a little bit, and that's what I truthfully think. So I do gotta ask, as a amateur golfer here,
Oh, shut the up. Okay.
what are you shooting on that course after watching it?
Oh, 125 if I'm lucky.
Okay, because the caddy of Joel Damon went to play the day after of the PGA Championship, and he is a .1 handicap. Okay,
Oh
so
God.
almost a scratch golfer, right?
Sure.
I don't know. Did you see this or no?
No, I did not see this. Talk to me.
Okay, what would you think he would have shot? Par 72, of course. Almost damn near scratch golfer. So
On that course with those conditions, I'm gonna go with something in the low 80s, like an 83.
very close. It was 84. He shot. He set the over under at 85, shot 84. Um, obviously had a couple bogeys, obviously had a couple pars. I think he did have a double even. But he said he goes, I don't know how they really did it. The biggest difference is essentially like you hitting into the greens and trying to stop the ball. Like he just goes, there was no shot
Oh,
for me to like stop the ball. But he had to excel at his chipping, like, around the greens, keeping it
mhm.
close. I mean, he said of course the greens are quick, right? Like we kind of all expected that, but he said a lot of it's like the irons and the 80 or 100-yard shots in. That was the most difficult part. And then besides that, with the rough, he goes, whenever you were in the rough, you essentially were taking a stroke off at that point. So
I'm just
you
pitching
had to
out.
find fairways.
Yeah.
Um,
No, 125 would be, I would be ecstatic if I shot 125.
sure. I think a
What's
hundred.
your number? You think you can do it, break it?
I
100?
think 100. Like if you put it at the 100, I would like to see if I could do it.
Okay.
Right? Like distance wise, it's long, man. I mean, it was like 7,100 yards, so it's a long ways. I agree. I can definitely hit the ball pretty far though. It's just a matter of fact of me keeping it in the fairway would be the most difficult part for me. I
Yeah.
think because if I as soon as I'm gonna be in the rough more majority of not, I'm gonna be hacking it out. I'm gonna try to use my forearms like there's no tomorrow, and it just doesn't happen. But yeah, I want to see what you kind of thought you would shoot. So you said 125. I got 100. But yeah, they did have a guy that went out there it was a damn near scratch golfer shot 84. So yeah,
I can only, I know I'm not good at golf. As an amateur golfer, I will openly admit that.
yeah. So yeah, no, it was good. But let's kind of stay in that northeast area here, huh? Rochester, New York. We're gonna hop over a state or two. We're gonna head over to the game 7, Massachusetts, Boston versus the Miami Heat. Wow, what a series, man. I mean, you want to talk about a series of all series. Miami goes up 3-0, and you might think it's over, right? A sweep is going to happen. Jimmy Buckets is out there doing the timeout to Al Horford to get him, huh? But then the Celtics turn around and go, hey, 3 straight right back of you. Bang, bang, bang. It's like we're in a boxer's match. Boom, boom, boom. You get the first couple rounds. I get the second couple rounds. And you come to the last round. And in Boston it is. And the Miami Heat go, no, 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 not today. We ain't making history today, boys. So Jimmy Buckets takes over a little bit. The team plays well. They win by 20 points. And the only team still to come back from 3-0 in Boston, I'm saying in Boston, ladies and gentlemen, is the Boston Red Sox. And Johnny Damon said it best on the video 20 minutes after the Boston Celtics lost. Incredible video. Make sure you go check it out if you haven't already. He literally posted the video 20 minutes after the Celtics lost. It was outstanding work by him. Um, but yeah, Blaine, what did you think? I mean, hell of a series both ways. 3 games comes down to game 7. Shouldn't have probably even been there, but it was. And Miami Heat pulled through. What did you think about that, man?
Other than like I'm a prophet and you and Marcus owe me an apology because you guys went Lakers Celtics and I went against the curve. And you know what? Both of my teams are in the finals, because you guys are all about the legacy instead of the game of basketball.
Right. You're right. I'm not gonna apologize though.
Ah, damn it. I was really banking on that. Because I know Marcus will not apologize at all.
No,
Go check
he
out
will not.
Marcus. Go talk with Marcus. Great stuff. But he rips me a new one. So, um, but no, I think this is, if we actually really reflect on these last two postseasons of the Boston Celtics, when you're an under 500 team at home, that's a problem in the postseason. You were home court's supposed to mean something. And when it comes to the Boston Celtics, it is meaningless. 11-12 in these last two postseasons at home. You lose 3 out of your 4 games in this series at home. There is zero excuses when it comes to that. None whatsoever. From a Miami Heat perspective, I mean, the series was fantastic. Honestly, I had it over. I mean, my prediction was 6, but I thought it was going to be a sweep. I really did. If Jason Tatum didn't show up in game 4, it was a sweep, right? And Jimmy Butler had a little bit of a lull through that series in games 4 and 5, really didn't perform really at all. And then when it came down to game 7, I mean, good for the Miami Heat. I mean, I was still going to roll with my guns that Miami was going to somehow win that game on, I think what, it was now Sunday now, right? Or Monday? I can't remember. Sunday or Monday. Monday, sorry. Yeah, Monday. Because they played Saturday in game 6 where
Yeah,
Derek
you're
White.
right. Monday. It was Monday. Yep.
But Boston threw away game 6. Like, if it wasn't for the ball literally going one spot, that would have hurt the Miami Heat. Derek White does not get a tip in, and the game series was over in 6.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then in game 7, Jason Tatum rolls his ankle on the very first play of the game. And if you watch that game at all, he could not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't move. He was powering through, but you could tell if it was not game 7, there was elimination. Jason Tatum is not on that basketball court. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I
And
agree.
Jaylen Brown, absolutely atrocious. That was his moment. Tatum
8
gets hurt.
turnovers.
Jaylen Brown, take us to the promised land and get us over the hump. You want to be an alpha dog? Prove it right here. And 1 of 9 from 3, 8 turnovers, like you said. As soon as you knew he was going left, you knew the ball was going to be turned over. Every time he went left, turnover, turnover, turnover. And then Caleb Martin, the unsung hero, and honestly, my Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Sorry, I mean, I love me some Jimmy Buckets, but Caleb Martin was the most if you're going, this is what I hate about the MVP. If you're going based off most valuable player in a series, Caleb Martin was the most valuable player in that series for the Miami Heat. Without question. And Jimmy Butler was fantastic in the series, but Caleb Martin was the most valuable player and he showed up in the most important moment, and Jimmy Butler took them home in the 4th quarter. And it wasn't even a game. It wasn't even a game through the 2nd quarter, so but yeah, great series. I mean, I loved every second of it. It kept, honestly, the NBA really engaged, because if Miami sweeps them, you're going a week and a half without a game, because they don't change the final schedule or move it up or anything like that. It's a set date, whether they're there or not, because they're planning for a game 7 in every situation. So,
Correct. Yeah, it was incredible stuff. Truthfully, like you said, I think Caleb Martin should have actually won the Finals MVP. I think it's more of a popularity award, a little bit more truthfully in that. But he played well. I thought Duncan Robinson actually had a couple good games, helped him out, had a couple of bad games, but he had a lot of threes. But I just go back to like how good the Miami Heat is with like picking up kind of undrafted guys or second round guys and developing them. And I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, Tyler Hero might be coming back, honestly, in game 3 or game 4, I heard. But you're talking about like 3 guys that are, or 4 guys that are almost identical to each other, right? Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, Tyler Hero, Gabe Vincent, like guys that can just bang home threes, truthfully enough. Um, and that's just what it is. And then, and then you also, of course, you got Jimmy Buckets. Then you got Bam down low. You got Kevin Love, good, savvy vet. Same thing with Kyle Lowry. Oh, speaking about, hold up. While we're on this, Kyle Lowry, I just had this discussion. Kyle Lowry or Chauncey Billups, who would you rather want career wise? I know, I'm sorry, it's very off topic here, but I just had this discussion too. It was wild. Unbelievable stuff.
Chauncey's got 2, right?
No, 1.
Oh, it's right. That Pistons team lost in the finals that other year.
Yeah.
Wow. Shit. I'm actually gonna say Kyle Lowry
Okay.
because this is my argument. He pretty much, I mean, it was Kawhi's championship, but from a legacy standpoint, you took you made a country of that is known for ice hockey and lacrosse and made it a basketball country for that year of basketball. Like,
Yeah.
like that, like that in and of itself, I don't have to say anymore. Like, you made Canada basketball oriented right there. Like,
So the only big kicker here is this right now. If Miami Heat does win this series, he obviously would have more championships. I mean, this one he doesn't have
right.
as much as he did with the Toronto one. But if he wins this one, he'll have one up on Chauncey. But Chauncey does have a Finals MVP, and he does have a couple All NBA teams where Kyle Lowry doesn't. So you've got a couple other things you have to consider for Chauncey. But me and my one buddy were having a discussion about this, and I'm like, nah, dude. He was like, dude, Chauncey by 1,000,000. I'm like, I don't know if it's that close. Like, I think it's a lot closer. I think Kyle Lowry is a player, right? I
He's a
mean,
baller, man. He's a
yes, but
winner too.
yeah. And if you look at his stats, like points wise, they're almost identical. Rebounds, of course, Kyle Lowry's gonna have more. I mean, Jesus Christ, he's got the nicest ass in the NBA. And then on the assist side, like it's pretty damn close too. So like, I mean, Kyle Lowry's right there. Like a lot of people don't give respect to Kyle Lowry, unfortunately, right? Because he's moved around the league a lot. Finally found a home in Toronto. Was able to win, but kind of won on truthfully on the back of Kawhi Leonard. So, people don't want to give him the respect when respect's due, but he's a player, man, and probably is going to be a Hall of Famer when he retires. Plain and simple, unfortunately. But yeah, sorry to get off topic there, but I was having that discussion. So,
I
uh,
mean, I think he's the most important Heat player on that roster, though, from a leadership perspective. I mean, Jimmy Butler might be the leader on the court, but to bring that veteran leadership and that championship mentality, I think he's more important than Kevin Love is.
I would
It's
say he's
Kyle.
third. Honestly, I would
It's
say he's
Kyle.
third.
It's Kyle Lowry down the stretch of games, kind of dictating what is going to be played. I mean, it's going through Jimmy Butler, the play is, but Kyle Lowry is the quarterback on the floor when it matters most.
Yeah, I mean that's a little different than the way, but the first way you said it though, you said like savvy vet, giving him the leadership. No, I actually think Kyle Lowry would be third then.
Behind
Truthfully,
who?
Kevin
Behind
Love's
Jimmy
in front of
Butler.
him.
You would put Caleb on. Caleb can't even get on the court right now.
Kevin Love's above him, and the other man don't even see the court. Udonis Haslam. Don't forget about Big UD now. Come on now. Don't forget about Udonis.
I love me some UD, but UD is making no impact on this team whatsoever.
He's making he's making an impact, right? Like he's making that's the only reason he's there, right? He's gotta have an impact on him. He's gotta get these guys up, ready to rock and roll for games like this, right? If I'm not
Right.
mistaken, I think Udonis Haslem made like 7 finals out of the last 20 or something like that. Something wild I saw a stat with, which is unbelievable. But yeah, I don't think Kyle. I think he'd be
All
third.
right.
But
All
like
right.
the way you're saying it, the second way you put it, yes, he's gonna handle the ball a little bit more. You're not wrong. So,
Okay.
um,
Fair.
So we gotta go back to Boston and Miami here. Um, hell of a series, yeah, of course, hell of a series. Great for Boston, or great for Miami to pull it back out and move on to the finals. But question to revert right back to, like,
Yeah.
where does Boston go from here?
I mean, the new CBA kind of screws them over really fast, right? You got to be saying, you got to be willing to pay Jaylen Brown $55 million a year.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So do
then
you look?
Jalen,
Are you looking to trade him potentially this offseason? Are you looking to try to keep the core and maybe
I
add a
don't,
couple players?
I think you keep the duo. You keep Brown and Tatum.
Okay.
If Brown is willing to understand, I think he's starting to understand that he's the number 2 guy, right? But you also have to remember these guys are 26 and 25 respectively. They're not even in the primes of their career yet, if you're looking at it from a basketball perspective. And they've been to, what is it, 5 conference finals and 1 NBA finals. I think it's
Yeah, I think Tatum in his career has been to 3. I know. So
something ridiculous like that. I
yep.
mean, but you can't blow it up. Like, I think they need to, I think their core, not their core, their rotation players around them might, I think you should switch that up. You keep Brogdon because Brogdon was hurt, so you didn't really get his value at all in that series. But if you're looking at it from a perspective of Al Horford, I'm probably letting walk. I think Robert Williams is more of a focal point moving forward just because of his impact on the court. Do you look at Marcus Smart potentially? I think that's a warranted conversation. He is the heart and soul of that team, but they need they need a playmaker on the ball from the point guard position.
Is it at the
So
point where maybe you move Brogdon to the starting role and maybe Smart off the bench?
I don't think Brogdon's enough of a playmaker with the ball.
Okay. Truthfully, I think Al Horford is walking. I mean, if I was the Boston Celtics, I'm shipping him off. And you need to either find like literally a spot up power forward shooter, and potentially a solid defensive player. I mean, I know a lot of people are looking for that. I get that. But, there was a lot of missed threes from Al Horford. Al Horford went quiet in games where you didn't even hear from him, 1 of 6, from the field or something like that. That's unacceptable. You can't be playing like that. So I think they need to move on from there. I agree. I think Robert Williams needs to be more of a center role player. I mean, not role player, but center full time. Not coming off the bench in that case. And and you got to give credit. What's the head coach for Celtics? I always forget his name.
Joe Mazzulla.
Joe Mazzulla. Yeah. Yes, it's his rookie year. I thought he did pretty decent enough. Yes, he did have some rookie mistakes. It happens, right?
Come on, Joe. Eric Spoelstra took him to school.
He did. I completely agree, but you also realize he as a head coach, he did have him to the Eastern Conference Finals and then brought them back down 3. Like down 3 was
But
impressive.
that's not on Mazzulla's coaching though. That is because Jimmy Butler didn't show up and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown had a couple solid games as a duo. I don't think coaching made an impact from a Joe Mazzulla's perspective because he openly admitted after game 2 that he had lost the locker room. Openly admitted it, man. Like, I don't know how you can sit. I don't think he should. I think he should come back. I agree. I think
Well, yeah.
from a
Brad
rookie.
Stevens
Well,
already
he
said he's
is.
coming back. So
Well, yeah. Well, thanks for that. Appreciate you.
yeah.
But when it comes to Missoula, you don't let him go, right? He's a rookie head coach. He went through the learning curve, and he got taken to school by arguably probably you can make the argument he's the best coach in basketball in Eric Spoelstra. And right now he's probably, if Popovich wasn't still coaching, he'd be my number 1 in the NBA. But if you, this team was so talented and coaching comes down to being able to make adjustments, this is not the zone that the Heat threw out there was not something he didn't see. They saw the exact same zone the year before in the finals, and yet he did not make a single adjustment, and he just let his players fling up threes. fling them up, and they were atrocious. That's got to be on the coach to dictate, I need you guys to attack the basket. If it's attack the basket and you get an open three, that's another story. The Miami Heat are the best closeout three team in basketball when it comes to closeout and making it a contested three when you think it's an open look. He needed to put his foot down as the head coach and say, get the ball to the basket. Because it's not him coaching the star players, right? Star players, it's him coaching those role guys that are around the stars. The stars will usually rise to the occasion because they don't need to be put in that moment saying, I need to fire you up. It's game 6 or game 7. We're on elimination. No, it's how do you get the role guys involved? And I think he failed to do that in this series.
Yeah, but like you're also saying this, right? You said the Miami Heat are one of the best closeout threes, right? But Boston's team is specifically made for shooting threes. They don't have a back down center or big man, right? Tatum is literally their only one. Brown to an extent, but Brown isn't a big man that does that. He's going to sit at the free throw line and do that. Tatum's slightly the only one to actually do that, I guess, per se, right? But then as soon as you start running pick and rolls, Bam Adebayo is a pretty good defensive center and is kind of like similar to Joel Embiid. So why wouldn't you try to have them shoot the three, right? But they were missing it this series in most games and not. Yes, you are right. You know, he should have made the changes when he did. And that's why Spoelstra is also one of the best head coaches because he can make these in-game changes. I don't blame the loss on him though.
Oh no, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, like I think Game 7 was just like an unfortunate.
I think it was definitely more the Heat winning than the Celtics losing the series.
Yeah, like I think it was just an unfortunate event on Game 7 with Tatum rolling his ankle at that point, and then it was just a shit show from there.
That's fair. If Tatum doesn't roll his ankle, do you think Boston pulls it off?
No, I still think Boston loses that
Because
game.
Boston looked like they were deer in headlights that entire game.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree. But yeah, I just thought Boston, coming in the series, that's why I picked them. I thought they were the better team. And honestly, they were the better team. But, when Miami Heat plays for more heart, more soul, like, they're going and diving for the 50-50 balls, getting better rebounds, this, that, and the other thing. And just the movement of Spoelstra, the way he creates that offense, I think it was during Game 2, just the movement. Everybody's moving. Whoever doesn't have the ball's moving. I'm like, wow, this is what an offense looks at coming from a 76ers fan because everything's stagnant. So,
you like Nick Nurse? Give a quick little Nick Nurse hire. You like that or not?
Yeah, I mean, he was my top 2. He was in my top 2 head coaches to get when we signed him. I was happy with it. I'm cool with it. He definitely has a lot of pros, of course, right? Like, does have that championship pedigree in the background, right? Is able to maybe get guys to work with him. I mean, I always just hated him because I hated Toronto so much. Because they just like kept beating up on the Sixers. I'm like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I was happy with the signing. I think he's doing well for it. Hopefully he even gets Joel Embiid to another level. It's all going to come down to what's Harden doing. If Harden leaves or Harden stays, like that's essentially what the Sixers future looks like, essentially. So, but yeah, good signing for them. So let's look up. So obviously the other series we'll talk about. I'll talk in 10 seconds. Denver Nuggets blew out the Lakers. Lakers almost won Game 4, but they didn't, and they booked their trip to Cancun as early as they possibly could. So now we're moving on to the NBA Finals preview. We got the Denver Nuggets, Jokic versus Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler. Actually, is it 1 versus 8 seed? I guess it would be, huh? Yeah, 1 versus 8.
Yeah, 1 versus an 8. First time since '99 when San Antonio kind of took the Knicks to school, and that last time Spurs 1-5.
Okay.
Looks like Nuggets are up. Looks like I'm trying to see the score here. Got it pulled up. Nuggets up 11 right now, early in the second.
Well, that ain't good. Okay. Does
that change your pick?
Well,
or you
no.
did you take Miami to win Game 1?
I took Miami plus the points and I am 9. So yeah, I took
Oh,
Miami.
I would take him against the points. I like that.
Yeah, I took him with the 9. Blake, what are you thinking, man? I mean, you're the one that you picked them two, right? So now they're here. So now you got to pick and choose which one you want here.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love me some Jimmy Buckets, but I've been on this show and other shows, and we can roll the tape. I am all in on the Denver Nuggets. I have been since the playoffs kind of started. As even being a Warriors fan, I thought the Denver Nuggets were the favorite over us. Um, so I'm taking the Denver Nuggets. I think it's gonna. Man, I don't want to. I think the game. I don't think game one really matters in this series. I think Denver should coming off a week and a half basically, and Miami coming off of short rest, then have to go to altitude. I would not be surprised if Denver kind of wins this pretty solid and Miami maybe covers towards the end of the game. Um, but then I think game two totally dictates how this series is going to go, right?
Sure.
I've got Denver in 5 because if you look at this postseason, how Denver's played, Minnesota got a game because Anthony Edwards had a monster game. It hit a freaking basically a game winner to force overtime, and then Minnesota rode that wave to get them to overtime, right? You look at the Phoenix series, Devin Booker had to shoot 85% from the field in 2 games and averaged 45, and KD had to average 29 for them to win 2 games in that series. Otherwise, it was pretty much Denver night in, night out. And then, like you kind of said in 10 seconds, a Denver sweep. LeBron had one great game. And I mean, Denver swept him, and AD actually played a great series. But the Joker and Jamal Murray were just that great.
Yep.
So I'm taking Denver in 5. I'm rolling with the Nuggets. They're the most complete team in basketball. They've got the most depth. And I think the bench is going to be the difference in this series. I like Denver's bench better than Miami's.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna be on this train right with you. I think it's Denver in 5 as well. I think Miami steals one either game 2 or game 3, somewhere in that ballpark. But I think Denver's just too much, too hot to handle right now. The starting lineup is loaded, on the Denver side versus the Miami Heat. The only way I think Miami gets a kind of a win, truthfully, is one game they shoot lights out behind the arc. Like that's the only thing I can really think. Like Strus has a game. Vince, has another huge game. Same thing with maybe Tyler Hero comes back, gets him a little juice, hits a couple threes. Like I just think that's the only way that's gonna be able to happen. But even then, I don't think it's gonna be enough. I think Jamal Murray and Jokic duo right now is one of the best in the business, and they're playing out of their mind. And like you said, the bench is, it's kind of not day and night, but Denver's got some players at least coming off that bench to help them score the rock and play a little defense too. Um,
Well, some of Denver's bench guys would start anywhere else.
yeah, yep. Um, I don't
Like
want to.
in like, well, look at this. Reggie Jackson is on that roster. He does not play, and he was a regular starter in anywhere else in the NBA, probably,
Yep,
or at least a major contributor. That just says a lot right there.
yep. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm looking now. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Denver starting 5 is truthfully hands down should beat Miami's starting 5, hands down, plain and
Right.
simple. But like I said, the only way I think Miami pulls something out is if they shoot lights out behind the arc, and that's it. And I think you got to go. Jokic is going to win NBA Finals, or NBA MVP Finals, excuse me. I think that's the only way that's going to really happen, unless Jamal Murray has some incredible games. I think he maybe could slide in there as
Yeah,
well, but I think it's only just one of them two. I don't think nobody else is really going to have a shot.
that's fair. Question for you. Outside of the main three names in this series with Butler, Murray, and the Joker, who would be your X factor of impact in this series?
It's a good question. That is a very good question.
You know, sometimes I do my job right on this show. If I've stumped you, I've actually really done my job.
I because like I have two guys, right? Like I'm having two guys in my head, and one is Michael Porter Jr. Because if he
Okay.
does shoot lights out from three, like he could be an absolute game changer. But I don't think it's enough to like win Denver a game. Like I think Denver's gonna win the game based on Jamal Murray and based on Jokic's skill, right?
Sure.
But Miami Heat side, though, I'm thinking is Gary Vincent. You know, he's able to go out and drop 28, 29 like he did last series and kind of win them, you know, essentially hold Butler up and win them the game, right? So I would
Right.
have to say Gary Vincent, I think, truthfully enough. So
No, I like that. I think that's a good pick.
or Gabe Vincent. I'm sorry. Why do I keep saying Gary? Gabe Vincent. I apologize.
Gabe Vincent. Yeah, no, I think that's a smart one. I think you kind of nailed it on the head there when it comes to Denver. Like their duo's gonna get theirs. It's just so either way. So you know Denver's gonna be in the game either for the most part. I think I'm kind of fascinated by but like from like you said from Miami. I've kind of want to see if Bam Adebayo is going to show up because he was not present from game 4 to game 7 in that Boston series. He was just a body out there. He really
If
was.
there's a series to do it, it's this series for him because Jokic is a terrible defender. So
Yeah,
Bam should be able to get his,
get
and
his.
nobody
It's
else
going
is
to
going to be able
be
to cover him.
his impact is going to be how much of an impact is he going to be on the defensive side of the floor for him though?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I think he will actually be a solid scorer in this series because like you said, the Joker is not the greatest defender. So
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. All right, let's switch gears a little bit here. I know we got NHL, Stanley Cup talk, and
quick
Florida
pick, just
Panthers. Yeah, Florida Panthers are in it versus the Las Vegas Knights. Panthers sliding in. They're kind of reminding me of the Philadelphia Flyers back in the day, coming down from 3-0, just a team that's coming in hot. You know what I mean? Just ready to
oh,
go.
insane.
Wasn't being anticipated at all to be there. And then you got Las Vegas Knights, man. I mean, what do you say? They're a good team, plain and simple. Um, we'll see. What do you think's gonna go on here at the Stanley Cup?
I think this series is going to be great. I
Okay.
really do. If you look
That's
at
it.
that
This is gonna be great.
no, well, like let's look at it, right? The conference finals for both sides. If you're looking at because Vegas won in 6, Florida swept, right? Carolina. So out of those 10 games, 5 of them went to overtime. So you know all 4 of these teams are extremely evenly matched. Well, now it's down to 2. So I am riding this Florida Panthers miracle train. I really am. I have Florida in 6. They have actually played better on the road than they have at home, which is mind blowing. And I mean, Kepka brought the PGA championship there 2 out of the 3 nights last week. So you got to go there too. Brought the cup, was drinking out of it. Come on now. But I like Florida. I think biggest player in this series is going to be Matthew Tkachuk. He was monstrous in the conference final series. Had I think 3 out of the 4 game winners for Florida's sweep. So he's definitely there, the fuel and the engine of this Panthers squad. Who do you got?
Um, I mean, both got great goalies. You know, the goalie confidence here on both sides of the ball. I mean, both sides of the puck. Jesus, I don't even know where I'm at. Both sides of the puck here. I mean, you know,
You
great
can see we
there.
do not talk about hockey much.
Yeah, no. Great there. I think I'm gonna ride with the Florida Panthers there. I mean, I like Florida. I don't know too much about hockey, never been to Vegas, so I'll go with the Florida Panthers. They were a team that I played with an NHL face-off in like '03. They were a terrible team, man. I loved playing against them because I scored like 10 goals. But I'm glad to see them bounce back after 20 years from playing NHL face-off '03. So I'm glad to see him bounce back and make it to the Stanley Cup. And I'm rooting for him, just because the team was terrible back in '03. So a hell of a bounce back for him.
Fun fact, though, because both these teams have never won the cup, new name's going to be on the trophy this year.
Good for them. I mean, Las Vegas only's been relevant for what, 4 years? So I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
but I'm just trying to make Florida feel better out of their misery for the last 20 years with your
Yeah,
NHL video game, okay?
exactly. Blade, out of the 4 major trophies, right, that you win, which one do you think's the best one, design wise?
Okay, Lombardi Trophy, NBA Finals Trophy, the Stanley Cup. What's the fourth one?
World Series?
Oh, World Series Trophy. Man, I really love that World Series trophy. It's just unique, man. It really is. I think
Okay.
that I think it's just cool. I
Okay.
mean, the Stanley Cup one probably has more value based off of being the biggest, and like that thing apparently weighs like a crap load, but the way the World Series one looks is just fantastic. So unorthodox. I love it.
I agree. I like that. I'm gonna have to go to Lombardi Trophy. I mean, it's got a football on it, right? And you can hold it. It looks incredible when
You're
you hold
so
it.
traditional, man. You're
Yeah.
so traditional.
So, yeah, so that's what I got to go with.
How would you rank them? Where would you rank them? That's a good question.
NFL.
I think the NBA is actually has the worst trophy.
I agree. NFL, um, Stanley Cup, baseball, and then NBA Finals. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
And I would go baseball, hockey, NFL,
Okay.
basketball.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Before we wrap this up, we got one last news. DeAndre Hopkins has been released from the Arizona Cardinals. I know we got a big Arizona Cardinals fan listener here as well. Yeah, organization sucks. Terrible organization. It's probably worse than it's a worse feeling than losing 28-3 in the Super Bowl, truthfully enough.
Oh yeah,
Uh
without question, not even close.
yeah. Disappointment since, Kyler Murray's gonna want out probably in the next year or two. And then we're just gonna be running the same train right back in Arizona and going from there. But yeah, DeAndre Hopkins leaving the desert in Arizona. Blake, talk a little bit about Arizona and their terrible, terrible organization, but then also let's get a little discussion about DeAndre Hopkins, where potentially you would like him to go and where you may think he goes.
Yeah. When it comes to the Cardinals, you could obviously make the argument that they're one of the worst ran organizations in not just in the NFL but in sports. Like the way they've handled, especially like 3 out of these last 4 years with these situations with everything with COVID in Arizona, the whole Kyler Murray contract deal, and then the it's not like the team wasn't performing for outside of last year, right? The 2 years before that, they were in playoff contention and they just continued to lay fat eggs. You hire a coach in Cliff Kingsbury who obviously didn't deserve the job in the first place. We all know this. The man wasn't even relevant in college football, and he somehow got the Arizona Cardinals job because he had a relationship with Kyler Murray. But Kyler Murray is too busy playing COD and trying to snipe some folks than understanding how to play the game of football works from a defensive standpoint, and he struggles in that regard. But there's also been some reports. Joe and I talked about it a little bit off air that like a bunch of players have come out. Like several players have come out and said the Arizona Cardinals are just one of the worst ran organizations. And when you have players openly admitting that, you're in a world of trouble because most players, especially even if they're in a bad spot, they'll keep their mouths shut for the betterment of the game and the betterment of the brand that is the NFL, but they couldn't care less when it comes to these Arizona Cardinals. They have owner issues, they've had GM issues. The organization needs to just be blown up entirely and maybe just be relocated. That might be a better option and just say, all right, clean slate. But where are you gonna go, right? So I think the biggest thing now for Arizona is that you need to show some promise this year, or if not, you blow up the whole thing because you're arguably going to potentially have the number 1 and number 2 pick next year because you're going to have Houston's pick. There is a very strong chance that you're going to have the top 2 picks, and that's where you go, all right, Kyler, we've had enough of your crap. We're rebuilding this, and we're starting from square one. We're bringing in Caleb Williams. We're bringing in Marvin Harrison Jr., right? And we're setting ourselves up for success down the road. But it's not like, and then if you look at it from a football perspective, they haven't been great offensively in that running gun, right? They never were. You land a coach that really kind of was not really looked at as a head coaching candidate in what is it Shane Steichen? Is that how you say it, right?
Yeah, but he was definitely looked at as a head coaching candidate.
After
Definitely.
this, because he had a good year in Philly this year. He was not one of the candidates, a
No,
consistent candidate in
last
recent years, hasn't
last
he?
the year before he was. Yep.
Was he? Okay.
He was
I
like one
will
of them,
I will
like he
eat
was a
I will
name.
eat my words, Arizona Cardinals fans, okay?
I don't like him. Like I don't think
I
he's
don't
all
I don't
that,
I don't think
but
he's a good fit for that team either. And that's I mean, and the
we'll
team
see.
just continues to just draft players that do not fit their scheme at all on the offensive or defensive side of the ball. I don't know. That's just from a football standpoint. D Hop, on the D Hop perspective, that's just none of it. Another nutshell is that everyone knows that Arizona is so bad of an organization that they nobody gave D Hop a market to trade.
Mm-hmm.
They were just like Arizona was gonna let like there was some things from multiple GMs saying that if no one was gonna offer for D Hop because everyone figured Arizona would cut him anyway because they knew he would not stay.
Yep. Yep.
Like so now if you look from DeAndre Hopkins. Still a top 5 wide receiver in this game of football when he's on the football field. Um, yeah, he wants to go to a winner, right? A team that's gonna win now, and where he's gonna play. He wants to play with an elite quarterback. So where does that lie you, right? It leaves you with pretty much most of the teams at the front have been the Cowboys, the Chiefs, Buffalo. Um, I think the Jets have been in the conversation a little bit now with Rodgers moving over there. If I were DeAndre Hopkins, man, it's a lot to think about. I would probably I'd probably lean towards Kansas City just because you know they don't have a number 1 option at the wide receiver position. I mean, Travis Kelce's there. You can credit that as a number 1 wide receiver, but I'm thinking more a traditional number 1 on the outside and go play with the elite Patrick Mahomes.
Okay. Um, where do I think he goes? I don't know if he goes to a team like Kansas City or Buffalo because truthfully, I don't think they're gonna have the cap for him. I think that's the first issue. So that's my reason why there. But I would keep an eye on a team like New England or the Giants per se that like truthfully need a wide receiver one. More the Giants more than anything, not the Pats, but because at least then they did make the playoffs. If they get a true wide receiver one, like that propels the Giants up more. I don't think this puts them over the top, but um where I want him to go is the Cleveland Browns though. I want him to go
Why?
back with Deshaun Watson and reminisce the old days and have the Cleveland Browns back ready to go. That's what I want. That's what I want to happen now.
I would love for I would want him to go to Baltimore.
I don't think he would fit well with Lamar.
You don't think so?
Mm, no, I don't really think. I don't think so. Truthfully. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. That's what I think about it. It's I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is a top 5 wide receiver anymore. Personally, I don't think he is. I think he's a top 15 wide receiver.
You wouldn't even put
Um,
him in the top 10.
dude, there's a lot of good wide receivers now. I don't think you realize that. I look, and I'm a big DeAndre Hopkins guy. I was huge, but like, you,
Wow.
you want me to name 10? I probably could name it pretty quick,
All
actually.
right, Ryan, fly it off real quick for yourself.
Justin Jefferson,
Well, duh.
Jamar Chase,
All right.
um,
Tyreek Hill, I'll help you out.
yes, thank you. Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs. Okay. Where's it go? AFC. I hold on. I gotta go through divisions for me because that's how I think in my head. Nobody in the South. AFC West. Who we got out there? Boom. No.
You putting Keenan
Devontae
ahead of
Adams.
him?
Devontae Adams
Okay.
is 5. Who else is out in the West that I'm missing? Nobody from the Chargers. I would still take Hopkins over them. AFC North. We said that. We said that.
AFC East.
Wait, we said
Oh,
the
you did, you
AFC East,
did,
yeah.
you did Diggs.
Yeah, Diggs. So it's 5. It's still 5. All right, NFC East. I would take AJ Brown over him.
Really?
I would take CD Lamb over him.
Whoa, 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 whoa. CD?
Yeah, I'd take both of them over them.
Okay.
Um, I would take I would take Mike Evans over him. I would take I would take DK Metcalf over him. I would take Debo Samuel over him. Who else am
I'm
I?
kind of
Oh, I'll take Cooper Cup over him.
where's that? Does that put you at 10 or is that
We're
9?
we're at least at 10 or 11. Not even go the AFC and the NFC North. I already said J Jet, and then no, not DJ Moore, not nobody from the
That's
Packers, and who else am I missing? Oh, the Lions. Ooh, Amon's playing good ball though, man. That's a tough one. Amon's tough for me, but like I said, like he's top 15, but I don't think he's top 10 anymore.
all right.
And
I
there's a
don't
lot
know.
of people that I kind
I
of
would,
left
I
off.
would, I would probably take him over AJ Brown. I would take him over Debo Samuel.
Okay.
Um, I would probably put him. I think after you rounded him off, I probably have him at 6 or 7. So I will.
You're a lot higher on him than me because I'm not as high on him anymore.
My man. He's got the best hands in ball.
He does, but like the separation isn't there anymore. The
That
speed
doesn't.
downfield
That
isn't
doesn't
there
matter.
anymore.
You just have to throw the ball up to him because he never had speed when he came out of college. He was a
You're right, but he had some separation on guys. He can't get separation anymore now.
still the best contested catcher in of a ball and bat in the NFL, in my opinion.
I just don't think he's top 10 no more, man.
Agree to disagree, I guess.
Yeah, maybe we'll get in some NFL discussion next week because it's gonna be dead after the finals get done. So um yeah, no, I mean Nuggets up early right now. They're up at the half at the game 1. By this time it comes out,
You better be banking on a big Miami second half at this
I'm
point.
looking for a big Miami second half. Max Strus gonna have a hell of a second half, I hope, because he's 0 for 6 from 3 right now.
Oh,
Uh
is he the other one that you put something on?
I just had to make it 3 or 2, maybe 4. I don't know. It is what it is.
Bro!
Um, but yeah, no,
So
maybe we'll
funny.
so next week we'll be back at it. No questions asked. We're not skipping. We're not doing it. We gotta be back. We'll be back next week for sure. We'll get into more finals talk. Maybe we'll get into some NFL discussion because we're starting to hit that dead period in sports, folks. It's just baseball. And we got 162 games in baseball. That's a lot of baseball, folks.
And
We
Joe and I's teams both suck major.
suck. At least Blaine's team won a series in the last 2 weeks, so that's good to hear. Yeah, so we'll get into that. NFL off season's here though. We'll get in discussions there. I was watching fantasy football videos today to get myself ready. for August. I
I
know it's
know
early.
I gotta invest in I gotta start studying how your league works after you
Yeah,
invited me.
yeah. We'll talk off air about that, of course. And yeah, we're looking forward to the summer. We are here, ready to go, and golf's gonna be in full swing for us as well. So make sure y'all tune into the NBA Finals. It's gonna be a good one. Hope to see it. And make sure you always tune in here at the Final Whistle. Check out the socials here, of course, as well. And like and subscribe as you can. So all right, folks. Have a good night. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon. Wherever you are, have a good day.